You know what I mean? You know. Good evening, folks. Thanks for coming in. Start of another wet week. Well, it's a wet week in Scotland. I've not seen the sun since don't know when. Anyway, tonight we have the lovely Laura beside me, and we have over there the lovely Nicola from Whispering Souls Paranormal. We are expecting Eileen at any second. What's that word?
Momentarily.
What she said. But we'll just need to make do with Nicola until Eileen shows up. You know, Sarah says hello already. Well, hi, B. I just saw 2 seconds, 5 minutes ago. But she likes to be involved. You know what I mean? So how are we, Nicola? I've not seen you for a while.
No, I've just been keeping myself to myself recently. Took a bit of time out from the last big investigation it was at Menzies Minkus Castle, and it was a brilliant investigation. And then Charlie and Rocks, and then after that, I decided no, I needed to break away, and I needed just to focus in, and sort of because I was getting tied up. I love my spirit box, and there's been a few things happening in investigation where it's your senses. And I used to rely totally on that, and then if you happen to get an EVP, that was it. So I just sort of took a step back, and I've actually just been tuning in. If that makes sort of sense, So, but going out and wee doddles and wee donders on my own, and then just actually feeling the places out, to see if I want to go back and do them. And then I met up with Deborah, and we went to Campus Kenneth Abbey last week. And it was brilliant. It really was. It was an amazing experience. We got a wee bit of audio, but it was the actual, all your subjective feelings that you were getting walking around it. And then there was one occasion, we went into the bell tower, and I had walked in and previously. Hi, Eileen. Previously. Just talking about Campus Kenneth Abbey, Eileen. So
I've been having terrible trouble with Facebook getting on.
Are you in trouble?
We tried to ring you. We tried to ring you.
I'm upstairs. Tommy's downstairs. He never answers the phone, Nicola. I'm screaming at him to answer the phone. I'm getting all these enter this pin. You've got encrypted messages. Well, what bloody pin? I don't know what pin. You know what I mean?
She's all stressed. Hey, Charlie Rocks, and there's Liam out as well. I will try and be serious, Liam. No chance of that.
Sorry, folks, I'm on.
Here, could I just say, Charlie and Rocks have just, I think it was New Dawn Paranormal have just posted a video that Charlie and Rocks done. Now, I'm really skeptical about haunted dolls and stuff, but I mean, if you've ever investigated on Charlie and Rocks, they're totally genuine. And they've just posted a video. And honestly, there's some impressive K2 cat ball action on demand. And I'd highly recommend people to actually go and actually watch that video that they've just put up. It's brilliant. So there's, and that's from a skeptic from McDolly's.
Sarah's asking how he's on.
Very well, sir. I hope you're well too.
We're both well. We're fine, though. We're fine, as you can see. I've investigated with Charlie Rocks a couple of times, and they're quite down the air. Charlie's nuts. After I've got for Rocks for putting up with him actually, but hey, thank you, Nicola. I didn't.
Oh, here, you see, when we're on, that I don't know if you went back to that 2-minute mark of that audio. It's just a bit nosy. Was that somebody speaking from downstairs, or did it come from the doll? That's a question for Charlie Rocks. By the way, Scott, sorry.
No, we're asking folk in the chat the questions.
What doll was this? I've not seen this clip. I don't know.
I saw New Dawn Paranormal, and right, that's fine. I was just wondering if it was a voice, or because I could hear it, and I didn't know where it was coming from.
Sarah's getting her 2 pence in. I'll be living with Scott. Makes you feel so wanted, doesn't it? Some people make you feel so warm and wanted. And the haunted dog, I've spoken about this in a few shows. I don't know. I know there is documented report, reports of, genuine activity with dolls and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's no, I'm not dissing it or anything, no disrespect to anybody who uses them. It's something we've never really bothered with, is it?
No, I think it's mere hype than anything, to be fair. I'm not saying
I just don't get the dolly thing at all. I'm sorry, I really don't get it.
It seems to be like the beaut box, they were all the in thing. And then you got like the haunted dolls. I'm not disrespecting in any way. I'm sure there is haunted dolls, but the majority, no, absolutely no. I just think it's just too hyped up, and it's another tool that obviously can be used, definitely in the paranormal, but more as a what's the word?
Tool.
No.
Like a trigger.
Yeah, a trigger object. More so than the actual haunted part of it.
I was going to start coming up with fancy words there.
I'm trying.
Like apparatus.
I think dolls became flavour of the month quite recently, didn't they? And all you have to do is go on eBay, and there's thousands of haunted dolls for sale. Everywhere you look, there's a haunted doll.
Sure, you get haunted Barbie dolls that can give you a lover.
No, thank you.
That one. I don't know.
Explain this one a bit, Sarah.
You might need to elaborate because I've never heard of that in my life. We watched the film. Well, they were watching the film Barbie the other day. What a load of crap! You ever watched Barbie?
You that watched it, was it?
I was kind of watching it, but not watching it. I'm a grown man. I'm not going to admit to watching Barbie.
You have to dress up in pink sparkly outfit to watch it.
No, I only do that when the street's empty, Eileen.
I only do it when the moon's full.
Wow.
Well, you should be out tonight.
That's tonight.
On eBay. I know, as you say, Eileen, seriously, there was a big, I don't know, was it last year? At some point, I think it was last year. There was a big upsurge in the sale of haunted. Every doll that was sold was haunted, and they all had a story to them. And it was usually brother and sister. Sister drowned in the river. Brother jumped in to save her. Two of them passed away, kind of thing. And then there was this stuff came out that the dolls were connected by a silver thread or something, invisible thread or something. And if you cut the thread, they'd be damned forever, or some bollocks like that. I'll put the comments up. There's dolls that are made to be haunted and powers that can bring a lover into your life on eBay. So any lonely hearts out there, get on eBay, get a Barbie doll, and you will be sorted.
And then, of course, quite recently, just a couple of months ago, there was a big article was it the Daily Record, that the charity shop in Morningside in Edinburgh had this doll in the shop window, and it was haunted, and there's a big piece about it in the paper.
I remember reading.
Actually, Mark Wallbank phoned me from New Zealand and asked me to go and buy it for him. But by that time, some silly person had come along. I think it was for sale for £80. But by the time the publicity in the Daily Record had done its duty, I think it eventually sold for something like £850.
You're always going to get people out there that believe it. Charlie, I totally agree. I thought this doll was going to be another scam. And when Liam gave me this doll, I thought, what a load of BS, but this surprised me. I can
see. Sorry, but to me that raises the question: is it the doll that is haunted, or is it just the fact that you've taken time out and you're actually just communicating with spirit? There's a big difference, because no matter where you go,
I don't think a doll can be haunted per se. I think it might act, like you said, as a kind of a trigger to attract spirit. So spirit might be present at the time, although not necessarily in the dolly. You know what I mean?
I watched
the doll's not possessed. It might attract a spirit energy for that
True.
moment in time.
But then you could then throw that to nearly every location that you see. I mean, if you watch the lives and you watch this, everywhere it seems to be haunted, you know, at the minute. And when we all started, I'm sure you sort of went, well, what does it mean to be haunted? It's supposed to be able to be replicated. It's supposed to, you know, so if you were going and a place is supposed to be haunted, actively haunted by a spirit, you know, there's all these goalposts and stuff anyway. But to me, when you go into any location, and if you're actually tuned in, and you know, you could be picking up on a spirit, you know, they see you, you know, and they're taking that opportunity to let their presence known. But it doesn't mean that place is haunted. It means you've had some type of spirit communication, you know, because really everywhere seems to be haunted these days, you know.
I think I'm going to use Loudon Kirk as an example. I thought you were giving me a dirty look there with my peripherals. I thought I'd seen it, you know.
Oh, that's a big word, Scott.
But look, I know, I'm trying.
Peripherals.
Peripherals, you know what they are?
You get ointment for that.
I know, you know. Basically, I shoved it in my eye the other week, and boy, that was, you know. Anyway, I'm trying to be seriously honest.
Right.
But what are you going to say, Eileen? You looked as if you were going to say something.
No, I'm listening.
What was I saying?
So
Loudon.
I get what you mean, Nicola. But I think, see if you get back to the same location time after time, I know a lot of people think it's boring. And, you know, that's their point of view. But if you go back to the one location and it's constant with the same spirits, the same activity, same names, etc. coming out, then you can say that these spirits actually reside there. That's just my point of view. I might be talking bollocks, you know. But if you go to other locations, you know, I mean, I'm in a group and somebody put up a question the other day. Cheers, buddy. I'm trying. 12 minutes in, I'm trying. And somebody says, you know, what's the most haunted location in the world? And all these people were answering, you know, Waverley and all the rest of it. And I commented, well, nobody knows for sure because no every location has been investigated. So you know, you might somewhere like Alcatraz, people say, well, that's the most haunted location, but then you might have a wee Kirkyard tucked away in the corner of Fife that's got a load more or a castle or a church, whatever, that's got a load more activity. So I don't think anybody can say, aye, that's the most haunted location in the world. I've digressed, haven't I?
It's like every day you see the most haunted pub, the most haunted hotel. I mean, you can't put a label like that on anything at all, can you? You can only say that there have been unexplained activities in a place. You can't definitely say.
You can say there's been unexplained activity in a place, which is it's fine. I mean, we've all been to different places and things have happened that we can't explain. That's not saying it's haunted or whatever, but you know, things happen. But I mean, get back to the dog thing. I get what you're saying, Eileen, that it might not necessarily that word.
Necessarily.
Aye. I'm doing she said peripherals, but I can't say
You could be in the background doing that, Laura, you know. Sign language.
Why just shut up and you can do the yakking. People love to label everything haunted these days.
Exactly.
The money. As soon as you say, you know, that my pub's so haunted and I'll charge you £30 a head to come in, you're going to get people that are going to rush at it and go and do it, and then they'll probably end up with nothing. You know, haunted is the new fashion.
Yeah.
But I was going to say something. I forgot what it was. It's what Nicola was talking about.
You were talking about your peripherals. No.
The peripherals are Loudon.
Aye. So if you get a certain location and it's constant every time you go, you get the same names, etc., then you can say, right, that place is active. I don't know if I like using the word haunted, because what exactly does haunted mean?
Exactly.
You know,
Populated by spirit.
But that's the word. That's everywhere, you know, depending on your belief and what your beliefs about the spirit world.
I don't, because do not say, that's a whole other.
Oh no.
Oh
That's
no,
a
that's
whole
another
area.
rabbit hole, Lawrence. That's another rabbit hole.
And when people say haunted, I always get the image that say it's a castle, right? Say that castle is very haunted. Then I always get the impression that it's spirits that are just roaming about wanting to terrorise people and what have you. Does that make sense?
But no.
No.
Because I don't really get that. I feel you're thinking like haunted castles. I just think like people who used to live there still doing their own thing, but coexisting with us. Does that make sense?
Aye. They're. It's a bit like Caldwell. Some activity we picked up at Caldwell, you could see that they're still living their daily lives. The railway station.
Yeah.
You know, the railway station command, we did that, and there was a lot of noises and doors opening down the stairs. We found it down the stairs. Usually, it's a bakery now, and the girl says the activity usually is around about 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. There's always stuff happening. And as Louise says, well, what did this used to be? And it used to be the staff living quarters, going way back. I said, well, maybe 4 or 5 in the morning was roughly the time that staff would be getting up and getting organised.
Yeah.
I said, so there's a strong chance, I'm not saying it is, but there's a strong chance that they're still going through their morning routine alongside whatever you're doing in the bakery. Hence why you're hearing different noises.
That is kind of a theory that really fascinates me, and I keep harping back at it. But I keep imagining, well, how many lives are we living in a multi-strata, and we're all living in these different layers at the same time? Is that possible? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That there is no past or future. It's just one constant, but we're all in a multi-layer, existing in different layers. You know what I mean? That's just something that kind of flies my brain a bit sometimes.
You're getting all sciencey now, and this is what loses me. I'm just a basic kind of guy. There's a spirit there. There's a spirit there. Somebody got all sciencey with us about a month after we did Loudon. We got asked, "Are you ghosts?" And I was talking to people, and they started they disrespected the scientific side, but I don't understand it. I'm being told I'm probably making myself look like a cabbage here, but I really don't get it. You know what I mean?
Well, see, that's kind of what I mean, because I also witnessed friends Bob and Sally Hunt some years ago now. They were doing they had a lockdown in a hotel in Weymouth. They were only the two of them, husband and wife team. I don't know if you know them, Truth Beyond Paranormal, I think they were called. And they went into this quite a big hotel in Weymouth during lockdown over the winter months, and they did a number of lives. Sally's actually a very, very good spirit medium, and it became obvious. It had so much activity going on. It became quite obvious. There was something very strange happening, and it was as if they were speaking to the future. And the future spirits were talking to them as if they were spirits from, deceased from the past. And the way the information was coming through, Sally and Bob started to ask questions about what's happening, and they kept getting, we're not allowed to tell you sort of thing. We can't tell you that. And it was really peculiar.
What was that coming through? Was that coming through a spirit box or coming through the medium?
Box. A spirit box.
I wonder what
And it's still, I've spoken to Bob quite recently about this, and I think it's still on their page. And at one point in one of their lives, the lives are supposed to last an hour, and they went on for about 5 hours and I was going up to bed with my laptop and sitting up and watching it because I just couldn't put it down. At one point, they had this sound coming through that sounded very much like it wasn't a disturbance. It was something that was being transmitted very, very quickly. Woo! Very, very quickly.
You do that again?
There was actually, now this is going to sound strange, but there was once actually, if you're as old as me, you will remember watching Star Trek. And there was an episode in Star Trek where there was a parallel universe, and all they could hear was like buzzing, like bees buzzing in their ears. But this was actually the different parallel, and it was happening at such a high speed and a very high vibration that the spoken words were sounding like buzzy noises, like bees flying by their ears. And this is exactly how it sounded that weekend in Weymouth. And it's still on their page somewhere. Truth Beyond Paranormal, Sally and Bob Hunt. I must try and look for it and put it up on the page again. But see, that's all part of this concept about spirit world and time travel and existing in a matrix sort of. Oh, it's a bit highfalutin for this time of night, I know.
It's a bit highfalutin for any time of day for me. I'm totally, What's your theories, Nicola? Do you have a theory on this?
No, I'm saying nothing. I'm saying sometimes you're better off saying nothing. No, I don't get that. I mean, sometimes I think people have forgot about residual hauntings, where you're saying it's sort of, you'll see the images and stuff like that. I mean, I remember I was dropping Thomas off to work one morning. I was driving past this country house, and for a brief second, all I seen was this man, and he had like this leather thing over his shoulder and like a haystack on it. And I thought, did I just see that? And never seen it again. It was just a brief glimpse, but
see, that's the point I'm making.
Well,
Are we all
said
existing
that.
in different layers? And occasionally the layers are coming together,
But was that not just like a residual thing, And if it's residual, then you can't communicate
but residual
with it.
wouldn't be intelligent. Residual
that's what I'm saying to you.
Intelligent.
That's what I'm saying to you. But there's other reports where places are supposed to be. I mean, you can go into locations and you can sense things. And one of the times up at Balmerino Abbey, 100% convinced I seen a monk, just for a brief glimpse, never got no communication. No, this was actually facing the crosses. You weren't with me at the time, Eileen. It was actually
no,
on
but I
my own.
remember you posted it. It was kind of in the distance through one of the.
No. That was a joke. That was a joke with a circle.
One long time ago. This is some years ago.
No, I posted one saying, no, I had been out on my own, and I was convinced I'd seen a monk. And I wrote, it was one of those occasions where you wish you had somebody with you, because I automatically turned around and said, "You say that." But what I'm saying, and that was just for a brief glimpse. And I actually went back the next day and sat in the same summer seat for about 3 hours, trying to debunk, was it a shadow, was it leaves, was it ever? So I think sometimes you do get a wee glimpse into maybe residual things. I don't know. But this multifaceted layers and stuff is beyond me, totally beyond me. I would need to sit and research that. I need to go back and watch that live that you were talking about.
I need to try and find it. I'll speak to Bob again and see if I can find it, and I'll post it up. It went up for some time. But it was very, very interesting. But it was intelligent communication. It was, it was like two-way conversations. It was weird. It's the weirdest thing I've ever witnessed. It was quite chilling, actually.
Intelligent communication from the future.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Just going before both Eileen and Nicola saying, it's like when we were at Loudon and we got through the spirit box. I think it was a spirit box, was it?
Where the ghosts.
Aye.
Aye.
Are you ghosts? And that makes you think, is that a spirit asking us
If you were lost.
if we were ghosts?
Oh, if you
Rather
were
than
ghosts.
asking the spirits, you know. So that comes into, ties into your multi-strata thing. Yeah, again. Yeah.
Look, I told you we're getting all technical.
But I understand that.
It's kind of like time slip and time travel, and that fascinates me. You know, anything to do with time like that, I think
So
quite fascinating.
From the future, right?
Investigating.
Investigating us.
Uh-huh.
Us investigating spirits. So it's, yeah.
So then, is there somebody else investigating the ghosts for the future?
That's the
From
thing.
their future, from the future.
From the
That's
future,
another multi-strata.
you know, that's
Yeah,
a
just blows this out the water here.
That's a whole different.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a weird question to get asked. You know, are you ghosts? I thought, well, who's asking this?
Why they ask this? Surely they would know the difference between human and spirit.
Somebody in the future
Yeah,
thinking they were.
logic you can get to.
Yes.
I'm so glad I came on here tonight because I'm totally lost. As I've said, mate, I just like spirits basic. You know, you're here and then you pass over and you're the same person when you pass over. And I mean, if you were a scientific genius on this side, probably the same on the other side. But if you're just a normal, simple thickle like me, then you're the exact same on the other side. You know, I dare say that we learn as we go along once we pass over. You know, I'm not saying like schools and stuff like that, but we learn. You know, we've still got the capacity capability to learn. You know, and we learn with mistakes we've made in this life to make do we get another bite at the cherry? Do we come back again? We were into reincarnation.
See, I believe sometimes that we do. I do. I believe in reincarnation.
Have you ever been regressed, Nicola?
No, my problem with regression is, and it has to do with my own personality, because up until
I just interrupt 2 seconds. One, Sarah, I'm kind of lost because I'm thick. What were you laughing at?
That comment, sorry.
All right, I thought you were laughing at if Irene's ever been regressed. So that's a bit personal or not.
No.
You know. Sorry. Carry on, dear.
With regression and stuff, I mean, remember you told me you'd been regression, and then there was a few things. And the whole thing about regression, I think it too, is it can explain something as it go on in your own life, or some of your fears and anxieties and stuff like that. So every now and then I disappear and I go and decide to work on myself, you know. But I'm a worst therapist. But so I must have went through hundreds of videos on YouTube about regression. And finally I found a voice, and I found a relaxation state that actually worked with me, you know, and I got as far as getting off a boat and walking on the cobblestones of a dock in New York, and I could smell the whiskey barrels, I could smell different things, and then it was weird because I ended up I committed murder. So it did. And the shock of that actually broke me out of the hypnotic state that I had got myself into. And I know for a fact that I was in it because I had spent weeks upon weeks, you know, because I am extremely hard, you know, to get into that, you know, state. But I'd spent weeks going through it, and each time I was getting into a deeper and deeper level. So I do believe in that. And I have my husband laughs at me, I have a totally and utterly irrational fear of tsunamis. I love the beach, and many's a time, if I'm going off in a trance somewhere, I'm standing on a cliff and I'm looking out into the sea. So I really do love the sea, and I love waves and stuff like that. But saying that, there is a totally irrational fear with me about dying in a tsunami. So the only way I can explain that, you know, if you go into psychological things, you could say, oh, it's drowning, you feel suffocated with life and all that. But this has been from when I was a child, you know, this irrational fear of this big wave. So I don't know, is it a genetic memory going back hundreds of years or what, you know?
It's strange that you say that about water, because I've always had a fear and an intense dislike of boats and open water, and I don't know why. Going back to being very, very young, and when I went through my regressions with Robbie Crossan, one of the lives that he picked up on was that I had been on an ocean liner, it wasn't the Titanic, going across the Atlantic, and I'd gone down and I drowned. So that might, my computer just slipped. That might explain my fear of boats and open water. That was one of the lives that they found.
Possibly.
I mean, nothing's happened to me.
What about you, Scott?
Of boats or water. Nothing has ever happened to me. I've just always, from as far back as I can remember, from a little girl, I've had a terrible fear of boats and water.
Well, you do you get any fears?
I want to disclose this information.
That's you. That's you. I forgot. You've got a bizarre one, haven't you?
I do.
I'm not going to get into it. She's scared of cabbages, so I'm telling you. Yeah.
Cabbages?
Everybody's scared of a cabbage. Because you know the new killer cabbages that Tesco brought out.
Well, the ones they had at school dinners are quite scary.
I don't know. It started with a dream I had, right? Years and years ago, about 20 years ago or something. There was no logic behind it at all. And I was fine up to about 25 years ago or something. And I dreamt one night that I was tied to a tree, literally, just tied to a tree in the middle of nowhere. And all these people, there was thousands of them. We're not talking hundreds, we're talking thousands of them. Were throwing cabbages and cabbage slips at me. And I could not physically move. And I was in hysterics. I was crying, begging, like being sick. It was horrible. And see, even now, I just went, no, I can't do it.
Cabbage.
I just can't do it.
But you see,
Cabbage.
It makes me my skin starts doing weird things, and I'm sweating.
From a therapeutic point of view, I would, if you were in therapy, I would be saying, what was going on in your life 20 years ago, dear? Did you do anything that maybe you were a little bit embarrassed about? That if you were caught out, you'd be tied and publicly shamed? Because what it used to throw. We could talk about that later.
Strawberries as well.
Oh, strawberries is another.
I mean, I've met people with, as you said, water phobias, going in boats, flying, heights, all that, loads of different phobias, dentists, etc. I've never met anybody, I've been finished it. I've never met anybody that's been scared of a cabbage.
No, I haven't either. No.
And strawberry jelly as well.
Oh, strawberry jelly is the worst thing ever. It's no.
Carry on, dear.
No, I just can't deal with that. I don't know if it's the fact it's the texture. I won't even go there. The fact that it moves, nope. I mean, is it a food? Is it a solid? What the heck is it? Do you eat it? Do you drink it? I mean, come on. It's just, I don't get it. It just, no. The smell alone, I run a mile. You know what I'm like. It's tea's got a strawberry milkshake or something. I'm out here. I can't do it.
Tease your daughter.
I just have this fear. I'm going to be sick. But
very interesting. I think they'll be sending somebody around to lock us all up.
That's strange for you.
Sarah's going to buy you strawberry jelly tomorrow, by the way.
I'm not seeing you tomorrow.
No?
No.
I thought we were going shopping.
That's not happening now.
I was going to take you to the cabbage section in Tesco. But That's war is-
With the postal cabbage leaves through your door.
the
I
past
was putting it on for strawberries. Oh. Oh well, there we go.
I
How
can't
about you then, Scott? Have you ever been regressed?
telling in public.
Do you think you've had a previous life?
Well, it's funny. What? I'm fear of spiders, scared of sheep, but I say I had a sheep phobia. But that's been sorted out now. Now it's spiders, because you get killer spiders in Kilmarnock. You know, monsters, these things like huge, bigger than your Hoover. You know, so that's the latest epidemic. Kilmarnock, killer African spiders, American stuff like that. No, I've never been regressed, but I've always, as you know, I've always had a draw towards Greyfriars for some reason. You know, always whenever we're in Edinburgh, always need to go, and I can never understand it, even if it's for 10 minutes to stand in it and then leave again. Which I always thought was weird, but I'm weird, so I kind of accepted it. You know, but I was in a group and I was chatting to this. Well, she says she was a medium, but you know the old story, anybody can say it these days. And I was telling her about it. This is, I don't know, a couple of years ago now. And she says, so this woman says to me, that's because in your previous life you were a soldier. And it was either Jeffrey or Jeff was my name, one or two. And I'm buried in Greyfriars.
Is it not Jeremiah?
Jeremiah. It began with a J anyway. And this is why you've got such a strong pull to Greyfriars, because that's where you're actually buried. But whether that's true or no, I've got no idea. But I've never had any past life memories or, you know.
No. Just a strange feeling where you get when you go there.
I've been to places, you know, because I mean, I drove trucks for 20 years. So I've been, you know, one end of this country to the other. And I've been to a few places and you think, I've been here before. I recognise this place, but I don't remember being there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But in saying that, I've been to that many places. You lose track. So there's a chance I could have been maybe at a small village or something. There's a chance I've maybe passed through driving years and years ago. But I've been at a few places that I have thought I've been here before, but I can't remember how. And that's it. It's quite boring, actually. I don't have any past life memories or anything like that, you know. I don't even have my middle name. That's a bonus. You know,
Here, I just want to congratulate you on your Wallace Trail. The
Sorry,
documentary. It's excellent. I want to congratulate you on your Wallace Trail documentary.
Oh, thank you very much. It's going really. Thank you for the wee shout out on your video last week. It's going really well. We didn't expect it to be successful as it's been. So that's us to. We're back out on Thursday. Today, episode 3. We're only going to be doing episode 3 for quite a few weeks because one of the guys is getting into hospital, but that's been put off till another date. So he suggested the other night, why don't we get episode 3 done? So we're heading to Lanark on Thursday to film episode 3. But we're really over the moon with it. You know, the response we've had and the views, and we didn't date for the views, obviously. But as I've said to a couple of people, before we started it, we weren't sure how it was going to turn out. You know, because there's quite a lot being done on William Wallace. But the feedback and the response we've had so far has been really, really good. And then obviously we were in the paper last week.
Yeah.
Aye. Read the paper about last week. So no, thank you, dear. It's going really good. There's plenty more to come. We're still getting Lanark today. We're going to Falkirk, Ayrshire, stuff like that. The end game, the last one is planned. We're planning it for London.
Down to the memorial where he.
In London, but that's quite a ways down the line. But no, we're really happy with it. and I know you ladies are enjoying it, so we're going to try and keep them in mind. We're trying to tweak each episode to make it a little bit different.
Aye.
Still following the same, obviously still following the same theme. But having the society on board's been amazing. Having David and
Oh, they're
Craig,
amazing, aren't they?
the places that I've been, like I said, episode 2 there with Rutherglen. I've been in Rutherglen thousands of times, over the years, and I had no idea it was associated with Wallace. Cambus Kenneth as well, with you and Nicola. I've probably passed there hundreds of times before, and absolutely no idea. So it seems to be working, if that makes sense.
It is. It's working well. As you said too, I mean, you didn't know Rutherglen was connected to Wallace, but I mean, and I've deliberately, when you've got the fellas on from society giving you the history, then you can't help when you come off actually going and reading about the history, and so I mean, I've found it fascinating, So I have. I mean, it's been brilliant. I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Well, the next one should sounding all Hollywood here. The next installment, shall we say, hope this is maybe first week of September, so I think, because it's Laura and Sarah that's sitting. But Sarah does most of it. Laura gives her input, and then the what?
I say, Sarah Juice.
I'm getting Sarah Juice.
She does about 96%. Yeah.
Sarah does all the piecing together and tweaking and stuff like that.
I have to sit and listen and try and work out what does the sound right, and it's really Sarah that does most of the work. So here I feel it, and plus the fact I have to sit to stop Sarah killing Scott.
She's important. She's the editing genius, but I've got kind of, when you get something in your head and you try to put it, Sarah puts it together, and then you look at it and you think, no, that's not quite right. And I mean, I'm as thick as hell when it comes to editing and stuff like that. So I'll say to Sarah, can we tweak that and put that at the other end and change this to it? And sometimes I'm waiting, they're throwing chairs at me and stuff like that, because he's murder. But that's what all directors are. Hollywood again here.
I got a
little chair with your name on the back.
Well, I've got pens here I can write it on a chair.
Write them on,
I got a brilliant lesson from the gentleman that looks after the graves down at Campus Abbey last week. He was in, when you go in through the arch, which was originally part of the Abbey, but it's now gated off and there's a graveyard in there. Well, there was a gentleman in there and he was cutting back the ivy and stuff on the wall, and there was a couple of headstones because they were made out of tin or some type of metal, and I'd never seen a metal headstone before. So I was chatting away to him and his firm. They look after 14 different cemeteries, and so he was giving me a list of these cemeteries to go to that have fascinating headstones. So then we started talking about moss. God. So, because I'd said, will you take that one, a picture of that headstone there? It's beautiful. The moss is growing around it and stuff. So, and then sometimes when we're in old cemeteries, you sort of rubbing off the moss with your hand, and just to try to see what name was underneath it. So I didn't want to be doing any harm. So I asked him his advice, and he looked at me and he says, don't touch it. And I went, what? And he says, look, these are old. He says, a lot of these, you pick, they're old and they're forgotten and stuff like that. He says, but he says, well, even at Campus Abbey, they've had to shore up some of the headstones. And he says, but for them to do that, they have to go back. The grave, people, these men that look after graveyard, he says they have to track down to see if there's any living members of the original owners of the plot. And he says, and if there is, then they're responsible for the upkeep of the plot. And he says, you don't touch the headstone if it still belongs to somebody, even though they might never go near it. And then he was saying about moss, and he was saying, he was teaching me. I thought it was brilliant. He was actually teaching me, this, how it destroys the tombs and how this, that, and the other. And couldn't have got it a better time. I mean, the other two that were with me were looking at me. I think I talked to that man for about an hour. So I did, but I got a good lesson about moss and about touching graves and not touching them and what you'd be liable for. He says, just because it looks dilapidated or whatever else, he says, just do not touch it. He says, because it's still, he says, it will belong, there'll be some living member, not unless a family has completely died out, the chances are
that caused
belongs to somebody.
That caused huge trouble in Edinburgh quite recently, in recent years, because Edinburgh City Council, in their wisdom, went round all the major cemeteries, knocking over headstones. Oh, that one's not safe. They were knocking them all over, causing huge amounts of damage, and particularly at the Liberton Cemetery, quite an old cemetery. And the health and safety people have decided they were going to go around all the cemeteries and they were going to test headstones in case they fell over and killed somebody, was what they were saying. But they caused hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of damage to headstones because they were knocking them over.
But they had to, because there was a wee boy severely injured. We were playing.
They took it a bit too far, Nicola. They were actually, they caused huge, hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of damage, and it caused a huge outcry in Edinburgh. And like Scott said, the families were saying, those stones belong to us, and you've done this and you've done that, and they were actually destroying these stones. They were destroyed. And it caused a huge amount of there was a huge outcry in Edinburgh because of that.
I know he was saying, because if they say if you went into a graveyard, like an older graveyard, and a headstone fell and you tripped, they will go out and they'll try to find if there's a living relative, and that living relative is responsible, is then held accountable for the upkeep, even though they might never visit it in their life. It still belongs to them.
But so that was the argument that the families had. It's our place to do that, not yours. It's our property, not your property. You've destroyed our property. That was the argument. They were overzealous, and it caused a lot of trouble.
Sometimes you do go a bit OTT.
Very much.
Look at, and it's very tempting. It's, again, talk about Loudon. It's Loudon's hundreds of years old, and there's headstones there dating back to 1700s, and some of them are, covered in moss or whatever. And as you say, Nick, if you go in the graveyard and you want to read it, it's very, very tempting just to get a wee brush. You don't think twice about it. So I've done it a few times. I haven't seen that in my life. No. I've never done it a couple of times. And it's something you don't think. It's the same as some of the headstones you would love to go and clean. But seemingly that's illegal.
It's a big thing in America, isn't it?
I've seen it in America.
People that go around cleaning.
Videos in America where guys go around and they clean up the headstones and the grave area and stuff like that, make it all nice again. But seemingly out here, to do that, you think, well, why? Because
I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. Now, the last time I was up in Dunfermline, they had a gentleman. There was a gentleman actually cleaning all the old stones. They've actually employed somebody to clean the headstones and to clean out the engraving properly, so there's no damage done. Because I think they're hoping to go back in the records and get so. At some stage, you'd be able to go into the abbey and you'd be able to read the life story, the life story of a lot of the people that are actually buried in the old cemetery. But it's not the first time I've went and cleaned moss off graves and stuff. And you're actually, it's of a benefit because the moss will eventually erode into the, because I don't want to go into the history lesson that I got the other day, but the moss does destroy the stone eventually. It might look beautiful, but it does destroy the stone. But it is against the law to do it.
The even says in Highlands they put warning signs in front of graves, telling families to get in touch.
That's a nice survey of doing it. A nice survey of doing it. More respect.
I mean, you see some of these headstones there, you know, and they say, as you're saying, the families are responsible, any remaining families responsible. But I mean, some of these headstones have been, you can tell just looking at them, they've been neglected decades and decades. And I really don't see the harm in, I'm not talking about, you know, jet washing it or anything like that, you know, just getting a wee clean up with a soft brush or something like that. I'm not talking about sticking it through a car wash or anything, you know. Some moss is protected, hence it's illegal.
Yeah. That was one of the issues when the Just Stop Oil protesters threw that stuff at Stonehenge. It was, what was it they threw? It was, whatever it was they threw at the stones. They thought it was acid or something to begin with, but it wasn't. It was coloured something that wasn't supposed to cause any structural damage. But the issue was the dye that they had used on the liquid that they threw over the stones at Stonehenge killed the moss.
So they're total clumpets then. Total clumpets. So they're total clumpets.
Oh yes, I know. But this was the damage he had caused. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't going to hurt anything. It was only dyed, whatever it was. It wasn't acid, but the actual dye that was contained in the liquid that they threw over the stone, the dye in the fluid caused damage to the mosses and the lichen on the actual Stonehenge stones.
Maybe I've had a shelter bad and you know, moss, some moss is protected. I don't know about
Do you know if you go into, well, you'll know, you're a Ouija, you know, the botanics, you know, the big, in Glasgow. I used to be in a gardening society and we got to go, the Kibble or what they're called now, Kibble greenhouses or something they're called, at the botanics in Glasgow.
Aye.
Well, I used to be part of this gardening society, and we got to go behind the scenes into places where paying public don't go. And one of the places behind the scenes there was a huge, big, like a national collection of mosses and lichen, however you want to pronounce it, that was protected, and they were actually growing it to preserve it. So there are, you know, there are certain species of moss and such like that do have protection orders.
I did know about the moss because you get some sort of moss on trees at some point, and that makes it protected as well. So yeah.
I must just a thick glass reaching then because I did not have
I was quite surprised because I didn't know any of that, but there's a huge big collection in the Botanic Gardens. It's not on public view. But they're kind of, it's a preservation thing that they're growing it and preserving it.
But Nicola, Canvas Kenneth, what was your feel about the place?
I love that location, and it must have been about it must be easily 3-4 years since I was last there. It's the bell tower gets me. The 3 years ago, I was convinced I seen like a shadow. You know, when you go into the bell tower, you know, there's like a door. It was probably the staircase up the stairs, but you can't get up there. And I was convinced I'd seen like a figure in behind that, you know, the wire gate. And I said nothing. And it was funny because it was Deborah that was with me 3 years ago. And that's why I contacted her when I was going back to see did she want to go. But on that investigation, I hadn't said anything to her. And she walked in and came back out. It was about 10 or 15 minutes later, she actually said the same thing. So when we went back there last week, we've been in and out of the bell tower, you know, because it's beautiful just sitting there and trying to imagine the monks, the chords and stuff and all like that. And Deborah was picking up on the names Catherine with a K and Margaret. And I initially thought maybe she was talking about Queen Margaret, you know, that's buried in the ground, but it said nothing. It was only after the investigation that I was looking, more closely at the pictures that I took of the headstones. And there's Catherine with a K, and there's Margaret, and they were nowhere near, those times. So I was quite impressed she picked up on that. But she was with her partner, and so we'd been in and out of the bell tower, and there was really nothing going on until this one occasion. The three of us will walk back in again to see if we could get some communication. And when the three of us walked back in to actively investigate the place, the three of us sort of stopped and went, "Oh my God!" It was just there was something, you can't explain it, but the three of us felt it, and again, the rational side of you were going, is this because we've come out of daylight and sort of went into the darkened area, and we're sort of, and it wasn't that at all. But it's a beautiful location, and it's an awful pity you can't get into it at night time. Not that it's any more active at night, but just during the day, there's that many people coming in and out that you're constantly, when you're trying to do any type of communication, you have to have one person actually standing checking that there's nobody else about, there's no voices carrying over. So that's why I sort of said it's a pity you can't get in the evening time, to sort of rule those extra voices out. But it's really, really nice. Really nice.
Do you think maybe,
And
go on.
oh, go ahead.
Do you think maybe
No, you go ahead. It's all right.
there's a delay with Nicola?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is, isn't it?
Oh, right. Sorry.
There's
Hold
a
on.
slight delay with you, dog.
I'm behind the times, Scott.
She's living in a
Behind the
different
times. I'll
layer.
see the wee thing.
Do you
I'm in
know
a
a wee-
different strata for the rest
You're
of
in a
us.
different layer. They're like that in leaving.
Different
She's on leaving time.
Oh, that's right. You're on leaving, aren't you?
Mhm.
You're in leaving.
I'm
That's
leaving.
I was going to ask you something. I forgot.
Do you think?
Do you think if there is monks still there, that they might be there? That's just a theory. To guard the arm.
Oh. Well, there you go. There's a thought.
Because the story goes that the monks at Cabras get after Wallace was executed. Coming back to Wallace, obviously. His arm was put on Stirling Bridge. The monks sneaked out during the night, took it and buried it in the yard. So do you think it's possible maybe they're they're there to watch over the arm, maybe? Just a theory, I don't know.
Oh, it's a possibility.
Nicola's deep in thought.
I am deep in thought. So I am. Maybe, but why would it need guarded when nobody's supposed to have known that it was there except the ones in the abbey?
Maybe the monks are still weary that somebody might find out that it's there.
Taking it upon themselves to be like personal bodyguards.
Yeah.
Sort of idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you this, 3 years ago in our first investigation there, God, I must hook out my old computer because I probably have the sound files on it, but I must just check. We were getting, and honestly, we were getting the name William, and we were getting, and we were standing at the tree line just behind where the arm's supposed to be, and we were getting the name William, and not one of us knew the history that William was part of William Wallace was supposed to be buried there. Honestly, it was only.
Do you have that?
Hmm?
Do you still have that?
I'm going to have to go back and check because it was, as I said, it was. It was Project Paranormal. I had been out with, and we were. They used to do weekly. Sorry, I need to plug this laptop in. They used to do weekly lives and stuff, from different locations throughout Scotland, and so I had joined them there. That's a wee bit better. I'm still lagging. Sorry. We had joined them there, and I must go back and check because it would be on my old computer. So it would be. I'm going to jump out and jump back into this because it might, might bring me back up to speed with you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Eileen,
So, Scott.
she was. I couldn't work out what was wrong. Then I clicked. She was slightly.
She's out of sync. Slightly out of sync.
So, what's your investigations lately? What's been happening with Phantom Seeker?
Oh, well, since we last spoke, where have I been? We've been to Castle Mingus twice, which was what a brilliant place that is. We've been back to Torwood. We've been back to the Banshee. We've been to Inverary. We had a fabulous night at Inverary. It was really, really good. With Justin Phantom, with United in Paranormal.
Oh, I know who he is. Yeah.
Yes, we know who he is.
There were lots of people there. It was quite interesting. So we've been out quite a few things. I mean, nothing major has thrown itself up or presented itself, but we've had some very interesting investigations. Castle Mingus. Have you been to Castle Mingus?
No, we tend to.
Oh, beautiful! Absolutely beautiful. What a stunning location. Stunning.
We tend to stick to the free places, don't we? Dear?
Well, they're the best ones.
I think they're the best ones because we've spoken about this before. You go Castle Mingus and all the rest of it. All the locations that are done, Bannockburn House, you name it. And they're done and done and done. And I think we have spoken to you about this before. Maybe they're just overdone and spirits fed up.
Well, I think that's the difference with Castle Mingus. It isn't overdone because they don't let everybody in. They're very selective about who they let in. Just because you have the money and you're prepared to pay, they don't necessarily allow you in. And I know several groups that have been knocked back in recent times because they don't like the look of them.
Yeah.
They've researched them. They've had a look at the way they work, how they present themselves, what they've done in the past, and they don't want them there. So unlike a lot of the cash cows, Castle Mingus is not like that,
You're back with.
I'm in the same time zone as you.
You are, huh?
Whoa! Time travel to the future.
That's better.
See, you get these big locations, right? But then you get small locations. Do you think there's a more a chance of building up a relationship with spirit in the smaller places?
Yes, without a doubt.
Know about.
Without a doubt.
Visit very, very rarely.
Without a doubt. I really do. The other thing about these bigger locations is the cost of hiring them now is prohibitive. Most of them now are up at £600. For 4 hours, and it's just silly money, isn't it?
Just after the pandemic.
You see, I would pay £100 if I had 5 other people to go into a big location like that and only have those 6 people all together. Because Castle Mingus is a brilliant location, but the noise.
That last one that you didn't get to, Nicola, there was only 5 of us on it. There was only 5 of us. And
that must have been fast. That must have been fantastic. You must have got some great audio.
It was really, really very good. There wasn't an awful lot of activity. We did get a fair amount in the end eventually, but just to be there in a small group as well was really quite good. Lovely place.
I've heard that quite a few teams get into locations and they don't get a lot of activity one night. They could be there 5-6 hours, whatever, and maybe they'll get a couple of flickers of a cat ball or something. So that place isn't haunted or that place isn't active. It's crap. But who's to say that the spirit's just only sitting there watching them?
Oh, there's definitely something at Castle Mingus. The place absolutely reeks of it. It's an amazing location. Amazing. It's really, really good. But like you say, spirit doesn't perform to order. You know, you just don't go when they're not performing monkeys. You'll get what you get when you get it. You know.
No, you're totally right, and that actually brings me back to my point about building up a relationship with the spirits. You see, spirits aren't performing monkeys. You go to locations and you can get sod all, even though somebody else could have been in there the week prior and go, you know, loads of evidence, whatever. But again, I'm going to mention Loudon. Every time we go to Loudon and Spiggleback is up, you know, Charlie Wilkes. I'll still get them into Loudon actually. Cat and Will, them as well, and wee Rosie Cardy. We've always had activity at Paranormal Penny Pinchers as well. So, you know, we get people that can validate what we're saying. We've always had activity at Loudon, guaranteed every single time. And I think a lot is today.
Sorry, there's a really annoying noise. Is that the rain?
It's supposed to rain very heavy tonight.
I can hear a kind of mechanical sound.
Yeah, like a whirring sound.
It's totally different. I think I'm getting the rain. It's very, very heavy.
Heavy rain. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't hear that.
Well, you forget it. You forget heavy rain.
I'm the deaf one.
She's a deaf one, and I can't hear it. But do you think maybe that it's because you build up that friendship relation with you?
Definitely. Did you find, Scott, when you first went to Loudon, it was quite quiet to begin with? If you can think back to your very, very first visits, the first couple of times, was it a bit quieter?
Evidence-wise, aye, when we get any activity. But
so do you think perhaps when you first go to a new location, they're watching you to begin with?
They're sizing you up, basically. I think, you know, when we first
and then it takes a couple of visits for them to begin, you know, to build up a little bit of trust.
Yes.
For them to come forward.
Yes.
We always had the feeling that there was somebody there. You've seen a shadow a couple of times right in the back.
A shadow figure at the back a few times. It was so quick. It's difficult to explain. It was so quick, and that was during the day as well and the night. I saw it both times. So yeah.
We did get the feeling that somebody for day one that there was somebody down the back of the yard. We never got any, and it was after quite a few visits that, you know, we started to get bits and pieces of names and then they stayed constant. And the thing was, I know these apps, they can give it names, stuff like that. You know, we were really using Echophonic quite a bit, and with Loudon, who was I talking to? I think it was Drigger. I was talking to about this. With Loudon, you got the same names. In fact, it happened with Penny Pinchers. We did about 3 weeks ago with Rigger and Penny Pinchers. They were up, and Rigger said the same thing, that with Loudon, you get the same names. You go to a different location, you don't get these names. You know, if that makes sense. As I say, I know the apps.
That's quite validating for you, isn't it?
Well, it is, because I say I know the apps were, you know, Mary, Jonathan, whatever, you know. But as Rigger said, the locations they went to, Loudon's the only place that they get these certain names. And Penny Pinchers got the same names as, you know, we always had. So as you say, it is a bit of validation. And I'd like to use it. You're a bit skeptic. Same as us. I think you need to be a wee bit skeptical. I'd like somebody to try and maybe explain that to us, if they can. I mean, if they can debunk it, fair enough. I'd rather it was debunked, you know, than us carrying on thinking that we've got something that we actually know. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a fair deal of synchronicity there, isn't there? If everybody's getting the same names at that particular location. It's validation of sorts, isn't it?
Definitely. And then coincide that with what we've picked up at the barn, Rue, and then collaborating that back. Do you know what I mean?
With the farm, it's about quarter mile away, and this is there's a direct connection between the farm and the kirkyard.
Yeah.
And the guy lives in the farm. He's picked up on several things up there that tie in with the kirkyard. So we investigated there as well. And this guy, he's got nothing to gain. He's not interested in publicity or anything like that. Yeah. And he's told us some things that we can validate. We've been doing at the yard. So when you get the two things tying in together, then I'd like somebody to explain it to us. I'm not saying that we're brilliant investigators, because maybe is, we're going to do it with day and just it's going to spirit at the end of the day. It's just that.
But the thing is, you are consistent investigators, because you keep going back and build, because a lot of times you find, and I'm guilty of it too, you'll go to a location, you'll do your wee session, throw up what you've got, and you might even go back to it. You know what I mean? But you are consistent, going back. So you're actually building the story, and it'll be lovely sometime, to get, for you to present, that story. So the new documentary series happened to Australia.
That was like us going to Hales Castle, Nicola. We were just, we were going back quite regular. We were really building a big picture. And then, of course, pandemic came. They threw up the big steel fence, and you can't get near it. We got some really good stuff there, didn't we?
Back to what you just said there, Nicola, about trying to bring this story together. We tried. Me and Sarah, we sat for weeks. My husband as well started researching it as well. It was like opening a minefield. It went left, right, straight, underneath, up every direction. You could, I suppose you could solidify it or simplify it, really. And you could say, like, we could write as a paranormal team what we've got up until
what you know and what you've got to
try and actually do the research on that family and the land. We just gave up, didn't we?
We know the basics there.
Yeah.
But as Laura said, I've done a lot of looking into. Well, the lassies did and Craig did, and there's so much, and even up at the farm, I've been up at the farm quite a few times, and had a lot of conversations with the owners and what have you, and they've told us quite a few things. And there is a lot to it. I mean, but the basic story of the Dempster farm, we can tell that. Where the caterers came from, what they did, etc., all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people, as you were saying about Hales Castle, Eileen, who the hell's Eileen? You know what I mean, Eileen. I know you're saying, Nicola, we've done it as well. We went to a location once and never went back. I think everybody does it. You see a place, you go, so didn't get very much, so we're not going to go back there again. Whereas if we maybe persisted and went back to, might get something. But people say, well, going back to the same place is boring. It's, what's the point? And let's face it, all investigators, we're not trying to convince people there's life after death. To me, what we're trying to do is build up communication with spirit. And maybe get some answers, about what happens or, whatever. And to me, the best way to do that is to go to the same place. Because it's like going to a pub. If you go to one pub once every 2-3 months, they're just going to get to know you. If you go to the same pub all the time, you get to know the bar staff and some of the regulars. It's the same.
That's a good Ouija analogy.
All right, the same with
I totally agree with what you're saying. I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, I'm in Macduff Castle at least. Macduff Castle is literally 15 minutes down the road from me, and I'm at that castle at least once a week. Don't post that up there once a week, But many say, because there's a beautiful summer seat, and you can sit and look at the castle, and you can sit and look out onto the Firth of Forth, and you can see Edinburgh on a clear day, and you can see way over. But and that's such a historic place. And I mean, and I'm there at least once a week. Sometimes I've been there 2 or 3 times. Sometimes I'm sitting in the basement of it, sitting chatting. Sitting chatting away to myself, you know, and then people go past probably think I'm the ghost, you know, hearing voices. But what I'm saying that for is because if I choose to go in and actively investigate it, you know, again, they know me, you know, I'm not a stranger
Aye.
there anymore, you know, and
Yeah.
sometimes you feel the presence there, and sometimes you don't. It just depends whether or not they want to.
Aye. We used to
To
go
let
down to
themselves
Chillingham
know or
quite
not.
regularly as well, and I
But
found
I was-
that with Chillingham as well.
You're spot on what you're saying. I mean, usually you go to car, you don't put, you know, we've been allowed in quite a few times, but we don't probably put all we're allowed in again, you know. But, and as you say, you're sitting there, you're talking away. People might think you're talking. You don't know if you're talking to yourself. Maybe, you know, how can I put this? If you go to, again, like if you go to Loudon and you're doing, you're asking questions. Whereas if you go along to Loudon and you're just sitting yourself, it's a nice sunny day, you're sitting on the bench yourself and you're talking away. Maybe spirit, you know, you get one of the spirits is there thinking, he's just talking to us, you know, just talking away, a conversation.
But do you know, I do that all the time when I'm in a cemetery. I'm not investigating. Like I go up to it. My dad passed away 9 years ago coming up, and I go up to the local cemetery, the Flowers, you know, once a fortnight or so, and I know everybody in there. I grew up with them, you know, and I know all the names, and I chat to them. I speak to them all. People must think I'm off my head, but it's quite normal for me. I actually speak to them as if they're still there, you know. And I'm saying to my dad, "Oh, I see so-and-so's moved in down the road, Dad," you know. And the funny thing is a lady been laid to rest directly opposite him. My dad was the president of the local bowling club, and this woman was the bane of his life for the entire time that he was the president. And she's buried directly opposite him now. And I'm saying to her, "Here, Dad, Bunty's over there." And we have a right laugh about it, and I'm shouting out to Bunty, and I'm telling you know, she bothering you, Dad.
To me, that's the
To
way
me,
you should.
it's quite normal. I go around the cemetery talking to people as if they're still there, you know. Maybe that's why I've got an affinity with matters paranormal, you know, because I can't tell the difference.
Look at them yellow eyes, jaundice anyone. No idea what that means.
Oh, no. Ross, Rosa.
Idea. I mean, the other thing is, I mean, we've done investigations and we've picked up EVPs and spirits talking to each other.
Yes, we had that in Jedburgh.
And
we get that quite a lot. You know, it's amazing when you get that. It really is amazing when you get that.
there's a few times we've done Loudon and I've said, you know, I've been up at the house, I caught the house, and we've picked up a woman saying, you know, there's Scott. Scott was up at the house. Like he's been up at the house.
Yeah, he's put that on. He's
been up at the house. So to me, that kind of validates that they do talk to each other. So just get back to what we were saying there about you might be sitting there one day just telling them about your day or your week or whatever. Then who's to say they don't go and tell somebody else? You know, or that's Eileen or that's Scott. Tell them about their day. Who's to say that doesn't happen? You know, which again builds the relationship there for when you get back and investigate it. Think, well, that's who, you know, James was talking about. That's that guy, that's that lady. We'll go and talk to them or do something for them. You know what I mean there?
Aye, absolutely.
And before I think I'm talking bollocks, but who's to say it's that's not how it works?
Well, that's it. Nobody knows, Scott. And that's the beauty of it.
It might just be as plain and simple as that. You know, instead of bringing all the sciencey stuff and the tech and stuff and all the rest, you just go and talk. That's it.
Well, I don't see why it should be any different in spirit world than it is in real life. Talk to people in spirit world as you would speak to somebody in real life, you know.
Exactly.
What's the difference? You're having a conversation with spirit, just the same as you would have a conversation with somebody sitting there, you know.
Yeah.
I was just saying, Eileen, you go and talk to your dad. I've not done it recently, but my dad first passed. I would, I'd go to his grave and what have you. What a week after the day that, this week that, or I'd be in the house and I'd do it, And if you would talk normally to a parent or relative that's passed on, how can you not just do it to other spirits? Just because you don't know them, just because you can't talk to them.
That's fine.
The more you yap.
Yeah.
Well, you do that at bus stations and
I
stuff.
know, I am. That's just
He goes on buses and talks to people and stuff
Oh,
like
I do that all the time.
I know I have
So
a very training orders.
Eileen, I'm not allowed out.
I swear to God, right, this is the truth. I went to Tesco there one day, right? Oh, this is, I don't know, about a year, 2 years ago. And went to Tesco, just shop now. I'm not being sexist or nothing, but a man gets in shop and he goes to what he gets and he's back out the door as quick as possible. Correct? We must have been in there about 2 hours. Every time I turned round, she was talking to somebody. And there wasn't a cabbage in sight.
I still go shopping with Scott and Sarah that it's guaranteed I will meet at least 3-4 people. Doesn't matter where we go. I meet somebody and he's always, hurry up, you're not allowed to speak to people in public, hurry up.
So he's officially not allowed to talk to people in public without adult supervision. Simple. I'm just noticing the time. So I've got a question for you, right, before we sort of wind up and what have you. I posted this last week, and I'm interested in people's answers. I don't know if you've read it or not. If you haven't read it, I want to know why.
I read it, I just didn't answer it.
Well, why do you not answer if you read it? What's the point?
Because I wrote a story on it and not that long ago anyway.
That's beside the point. You still answer
Well,
it.
there's my answer to that.
So as I says in the post, everybody's got different views on it. You probably know what I'm going to
Oh, I
ask.
saw that.
Right. So since you started investigating, has your views on, I don't like saying death, on passing over changed any?
Yes. For me, it has. Definitely.
Nicholas, thank you. The eyes are getting up the way.
It's a difficult one. I always would have said, I mean, we're brought up with great faith, right? And that there is an afterlife. That was always, instilled in us. But anyway, so I would have said I was never afraid of death because from an early age in Ireland, if somebody's dying, if you were in the house, you'd be there. So you were, and it was always that death is part of life, and that has been instilled. But there's I find it strange in Scotland where kids are, a lot of kids don't even go to funerals. They don't get the chance to say goodbye to the deceased. They maybe never have seen a dead body until years to come. But at home in Ireland, we were exposed to that from a very, very early age, and it was always normalised. So, and everybody has some type of apprehension about death and stuff and all like that. That's normal. But so I always said no. I was never afraid of dying, because of what I believed in. But I do have to say, 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. And it was touch and go because of cardiac failure and stuff and all like that. So it was quite complicated. And there was at one stage, and I was joking about my hair earlier on, but at one stage, I remember looking in the mirror and it was like Fester, Uncle Fester looking back at me. And that destroyed me. And I was stripped back bare. And that is when I had a real, real fear of death because it was staring you right in the face, and that really shook me for quite a bit. And but it was quite quickly, how can I put this? Because it was weird. There's no such thing as coincidences, right? And my mum was alive when I was diagnosed with the cancer, and I sort of protected her. Didn't want to. I was diagnosed literally. I think it was the day after my birthday, and I didn't want to tell mummy because I had it in my head this was mum's last Christmas. So I held off until the day after Boxing Day and told her. And so basically every day I was chatting away to her, God bless her. And I got over to see her. And it was literally after I had surgery, and and I was just about to start the radiotherapy, and I got home to see mum. And as the way everything worked out, and while I was at home, mum passed away. But before she passed away, now I don't think I've ever told anybody this. Before she passed, well, I got chatting to her anyway. I got saying what I wanted to say to her, and mum was a woman of great faith. But anyway, after mum passed away, it was the day of her funeral, and it was my young niece. It was my young niece called me over, and she says to me, Aunt Nicola, I've something to tell you. And she says, because she was actually working on the board, he was there, so she got spending quite a bit of time with mum. And she says, Granny told me to tell you, you're not out of the woods yet, but you will be. Right? So I was just about to start the radiotherapy and everything else, and I'm going, oh, Jesus Christ of Almighty, Then I took the DVT of my leg. Remember, Eileen, I was telling you, I nearly lost the leg. But anyway, thank God I got through it. And if I sort of went, that came into my head, that message from my mum, she was right. I wasn't totally out of the woods, but I would get through it. So I've drew a lot of strength from watching mummy. Now, I was there when my dad passed away, and your mum as well, but I've drew a lot of strength again from that. But death, it is part of life. And I think at some stage when you face it head on when you're alive, and I think too, my whole approach to investigating stuff is changing because of what I went through. I'm now trying to step back again, as I said, just before we came on live, and to actually go back into the more sitting back quietly. I'd sit quietly for 2 hours just to get that one sense, to feel that presence, if that makes sense to you. I don't know. I hope I haven't been too morbid in that discussion, but I think yes. So yeah, it has changed my views, but it's been a combination of stuff that's changed my views, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes total sense. What about you? I'm going to ask you, since you didn't bother answering the question. Answer.
No, that's just the fact that I was sort of brought up as a Christian, or not so much a Christian now, in a family from a very, very bad one. But no, I don't fear death. I think it's more, and I think for a majority of people, it's a fear of the unknown. It's not the actual death that scares you. It's just fear of the unknown about it. But Lou, that's one family that I'm for 4 years. I think about 3 years. 3 years. 3 years. I don't know. 3 years. I think it gets right. I'm talking. I think more I kind of lean towards as something else absolutely. Otherwise, I don't see the point of being here at all. That makes sense.
Oh, we're getting deep again.
She's getting scientific again.
Oh, sorry, just a bit.
Don't
That's going to give me food for thought later on. I'll be sitting thinking about that for the next couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What's the point of being here if there's nothing else?
Yeah.
No, there is. I mean, before I started PI, I've always believed in life after death. With stuff, messages I've had for a medium that just couldn't be explained, could not debunk or whatever. And so I've always believed in. And I think the other thing that kind of reinforced my belief, it's going to sound maybe morbid, but when my dad passed away, we sat all day in the hospital and we were told to go home, and he passed away about 10 minutes after. The nurses said, you can go home, you'll be fine. Assuming we were home. The 10 minutes went, phone meant your dad passed away. 5 minutes ago, Kerrang. Well, we went straight back. I went straight back up to the hospital, and he was still in the bed and just looking at him. You know, it was my dad lying there, but it wasn't my dad.
Right.
You could tell it gone, and you know, even though the body was this, you know, this guy I grew up with, you could tell just looking at looking at him. I don't want to say the body because you could tell just looking. He's not there. He's elsewhere. You know. Before we started, I thought once you're dead, you're dead. Not so much now. I believe there is something else, but not sure what.
But
not sure what. But
I think she's saying there is something else, but she's not sure. But
well, that's what you're saying. The unknown.
Yeah.
But I was watching that. I'm not going to name him. I think it was on TikTok. It was a medium, and he was saying about, you know, when he's been talking to spirit, that people don't remember their deaths. We don't remember being born. You know, we were born, it happened, but we don't remember it. And he says it's the same with death. Everybody in spirit knows that they passed at some point, but they don't remember them passing. I don't know if that's possible or no, or there's any ground, you know, any.
Sorry, Scott, for interrupting, but that will go against a lot of what we've picked up in investigations, because a lot of the times you'll say, you'll hear a died, or, you know, when you're asking, you know, to tell me how you passed or whatever, you know, and you do get information through. So I just find that weird.
I don't know, you know, if there was any concrete evidence that he had about this, but you know, he was quite adamant, you know, and I'm thinking, well, where'd you get your evidence for? You know,
I don't think any evidence is concrete, though, is it? No evidence is concrete. So a matter of opinion, really. Isn't it?
So there's another just a thought. But not really, as you say, Nicola, it kind of goes against what everything, you know, people are picking up for investigation, whatever. But I think we'll wind up there, ladies. That's an hour and a half we've been on. But I'll bring
That's gone so quickly.
I know. You see, before you go, when you're talking about death, I mean, as you know, like I was a nurse for 20 odd years, and then, you know, through personal experience and all as well, I absolutely find it fascinating that a lot of times, you know, the people, and I get probably the medical professionals say it's chemicals released in your brain and they're hallucinating and stuff and all like that. But I always find it fascinating how people, when Daddy was dying, Daddy, the only people he talked about when he was sort of semi-conscious was all his brothers that were deceased. And they were coming for him. Mummy passed, it was her brother. You know, people, you know, it was somebody coming for them. You know,
well, I experienced that with Tommy's dad. When Tommy's dad was passing, he had been very ill with Alzheimer's for a number. I was his carer, full-time carer, and for the last week, he took it. You know, his health did deteriorate dramatically, but for the last week, he was talking away to people that weren't there.
Yeah.
See that's
for the last week.
It's funny because when my dad was passing, he went with cancer. He had his good days and bad days. He was in hospital for the last 2-3 months of his life, and I was up every day. And my stepmom at the time, where, you know, when we knew there was nothing could be done, she was looking into a hospice, and she didn't tell me. All she said to me was, "I'm looking into this hospice, and once I find out more, you know." And I was up seeing my dad, and he had a really bad day. And he was kind of in and out of consciousness, and he kept saying, if he was sleeping, you know, he was saying, you know, I don't want anything to do with the nuns, get the nuns away from me. And I told my stepmom this, and she says, I says, he's in there blabbering about nuns and stuff. Turned out this hospice that she'd been looking at was run by nuns. And I says to her, have you told? He says, I've not told him anything about the he knows nothing. I didn't know. I said, well, I didn't know if that was a coincidence, and they kept saying, really near the end, he kept saying, I won't be long, Mum.
Aye.
His mum was coming for him. That's my I believe his mum was.
Tommy's dad was saying that
His
his
mum was
late
waiting
wife.
on
I
him.
never met his wife May. She had passed away about 13 years before I knew Tommy and people. And he, towards the last, particularly the last 2 or 3 days, he kept saying, "I've got to go to May. May's waiting for me. May's come. You know, she's waiting for me. I've got to go. I've got to meet her and everything." You know.
He kept looking out into the same corner. He was in his own room, and he kept looking out at the same corner. He kept, "I won't be long, Mum. You know, just wait there for me." And obviously, you're turning around and you still turn around and say, "Who are you talking to there?" I'm not talking to anybody. You know. And then obviously he passed away. But it was just weird when he mentioned, "I don't want anything to do with any nuns," or he was a religious man.
Right.
So it's no if he was a Protestant and he hated nuns and stuff. He wasn't into any of that stuff. And he just kept saying,
See, that
It's
just
quite
brings up all
comforting,
the.
though. Do you not find that
It
quite comforting?
does, but
You know?
yeah,
think-
I
you
mean,
think,
to
you know,
believe that there's somebody there
that's
coming for you.
lovely.
at the
You know,
end.
his late wife was there waiting for him to take him, and all his friends were there, and I found that quite comforting. I think, well, he's been in my care full time for the last few years now. I'm passing him on to somebody else now.
Aye,
You know, I was absolutely devastated when he passed. Even now I get teary, but that kind of helped me to come to terms with the loss, because I thought, well, I'm passing him back. I'm giving him back to me. She's going to look after him now. You know.
It does say. I mean, I was devastated when he passed. But I mean, even though everybody say, it's coming. Because I also said the basis that he's not going long to go. Blah blah blah.
Still a shock at the end, Scott, isn't it?
Aye, you still know. It's coming. I can see him going dun and dun and dun, and you think, but when it happens, you're still not expecting it. Do you know what I mean? You're all very into the top flavor.
Oh, thank you, Liam.
I'll be talking to you on Wednesday, actually.
Oh, yes. I tuned in to watch you last night, and you weren't there.
It was one of these.
Bonsoir, Laurence. Bonsoir. Merci.
I was. She's French. Bonsoir, au revoir. Mon petit pois sweet.
My petit chou.
I don't have a tissue. I got
my petit chou, my little cabbage. That was for Lauren.
Oh, ha.
Laura.
Was it?
Sorry, I didn't take French. I take German.
How do you say that? My pichu?
My petit chou, my little cabbage. It's a term of endearment in French. My petit chou.
I've totally forgot what I was saying.
It sounds like my tissue, doesn't it?
I've got kitchen roll. No, last night it was just stopping. But we'll go in way. But so we'll wait. I'll keep a hold of you for a couple just after we come off, ladies. So where can people find you?
Well, they can find me on Phantom Seekers Paranormal. There you go.
That's what I'll tell you. Phantom Seekers
You can
Paranormal.
find me on Whispering Souls Paranormal.
You know you want to.
Paranormal. No? All right, okay. Well, we're going right. So a big thanks to Eileen and Nicola and to this in here for my pissy shoe. That's fine. And aye. So big thanks to all the ladies for coming on tonight.
As usual, it's been great.
Thank you.
You've always seen them again because I can sit and talk to these two for forever and ever. So I'm going to arrange another date with them.
Oh, we'll have to come back. It's gone by so quickly.
I know. It always does. I'm trying to do your accent, Eileen, but it's not happening. It always does when you're talking to us. There. I was serious for most of it, Liam. I know you're away to bed, but you'll probably catch us wee bit. I was serious for most of it, so I think I did not too bad. Not too bad. So we're back Wednesday with Liam, as it just says there, from Highland Paranormal Group. So if you two ladies are free, jump on, by the way, on Wednesday if you're currently busy. You can welcome me on the panel. Laura
It's my night off.
won't be here.
I'm
I'll
going to
be-
jump on holding a cabbage.
No,
Craig will be on.
I'll jump on with a cabbage.
Craig is scared of heights.
Is that it?
Oh.
Well, considering he's 6 foot 6, dogs find it rather humorous.
Oh, aye, true enough. Quite tall and
He's like massive and he's like scared of
scared of
heights.
heights. That's a bit of a bugger. Anyway, so we'll say goodnight just now, folks, and we'll see you again on Wednesday night. So have fun and thanks for coming in. See you later.
Night,
Bye.
night.
Bye.